Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story about dealing with an overly observant neighbor who seems to have taken the role of a self-appointed noise patrol officer. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. Entitled neighbor doesn't want me to make any noise in my own home. Apparently, a new person moved in below me sometime in December. I, 23-year-old female, was gone for most of December, so I had no idea until I got back home from celebrating the holidays. My first night back, I had a friend spending the night. I'll call her Clara. We weren't being too loud, but we were chatting and catching up. She went to her car to grab something, and an old man stopped to talk to her. I'll call him Richard. He asked her if we were throwing a party. She said no. He then said he kept hearing loud banging sounds and that we needed to be more mindful of the people living below us. Okay. Clara got back and told me what happened and asked if I had spoken to Richard before. I told her I hadn't. Soon afterwards, he knocked on the door. So for some context, I'm neurodivergent. A man I don't know knocking repeatedly on my door late at night really freaked me out. I was also wearing pajamas. Because of this, Clara agreed to talk to him for me, which I was thankful for. He went off on her. He said he'd been hearing banging sounds for weeks since he's moved in. He keeps hearing weights dropping. I don't lift weights. He hears things drop at midnight and 2 a.m. He even said that he could hear whenever I flush the toilet. Creepy. Also, I hadn't been home in weeks. At one point during the conversation, my cat tried to escape and I had to run over and grab him. This will be important later. Richard has left me alone for the past 2 weeks, though. Sometimes at night while in bed, I would hear banging on the walls or floors. Unfortunately, he came back tonight. I decided I was going to tell him once and for all that I wasn't making noise. It didn't go well. I tried telling him that I'm not the one making noise. He said, "Yes, you are. I hear sound, then I see you leave in the morning. Then I hear sound again when I see you come home. You drive blank type of car and color, right?" What the F? Okay, now he's admitted to watching me, and he knows which car is mine. And I honestly don't know what the F he's hearing in the morning other than me walking and putting on shoes. I'm not an early riser. I sleep as late as I can, then wake up, get dressed, and leave. I'm not doing morning workouts. He also tried to catch me in a gotcha moment. He said, "Last time I was here, your lady friend said you couldn't come to the door because you weren't dressed, but I saw you come grab your cat." Yes, sir, she was correct. I was wearing pajamas, not clothing I wanted you to see me in. He kept going on about constant banging, saying he needed to be awake at 4 a.m. for dialysis and that he needed sleep. Then he finally left after saying he's not trying to be a jerk. I'm at a loss. I don't know what banging sounds he's talking about other than me walking and complaining about me flushing the toilet? Seriously. My cat's 18 pounds, not obese, just massive frame, and he runs and jumps around when he gets zoomies, so I wonder if he's hearing him. Regardless, the apartment allows pets, and Thunder is an ESA. I should be allowed to walk around in my own apartment and flush my damn toilet without worrying I'll piss someone off. I will no longer answer the door if he shows up, but unfortunately he's admitted to watching me, so he knows my schedule. If you don't want to put up with footsteps, animals, and toilets flushing, you should not move into a pet-friendly apartment complex. Honestly, I'd get a step ahead of him. I would complain to management and include how you'd been loud for weeks when you were not even there. And our second story. My cousin's jealousy blew up in her face. My 28-year-old female cousin Mary, 22-year-old female, grew to be an extremely jealous person in her teens. We've all hoped she would grow out of it, but she hasn't. She refuses to address it. When my husband Sean proposed to me a couple years ago, Mary threw a fit. She wanted to be the first to get married between the two of us. She deserved it. She didn't even have a boyfriend. Because Sean and I chose to have a small personal wedding, we were able to use money set aside for us to buy a home and pay off half the mortgage. Cue another tantrum from Mary, despite the fact that there's money set aside for her too, including from our grandparents and Aunt Miranda, who chose not to have children. I think you can get the picture here. If I have something Mary doesn't, she wants it. If I accomplish something before her, it's not fair. It doesn't matter if she's younger than me by 6 years and I would naturally reach some goals before her. There's just no logic in her tantrums. This brings us to Miranda's annual New Year's party. There's always food, drinks, and games. It's a fun night where we can get wasted safely with family and friends if we want to, especially since there are no kids in the family at the moment. When I was returning from the bathroom, I saw Sean looking extremely uncomfortable and trying to fend off Mary, who was sitting much too close to him on the couch. I managed to overhear her telling him that she's much better than me and insisting he try with her because he didn't know what he was missing. Now this was just pathetic for her, but I was seeing red over the fact that she was attempting to ruin our marriage to satisfy her jealousy. I attacked her verbally. The entire room heard this. I didn't control my volume, party ruined. The family has spared us from most of the chaos that followed, but today we found out that the money that was set aside for her is no longer for her. The tuition to pay for the remaining classes for her bachelor degree has been refunded to our grandparents since spring classes haven't started yet. All the money from her parents is going to her younger brother, and all the money from our grandparents and Miranda is going to be distributed between him and myself. She's getting nothing. She's also been given 3 months to find a new place to live because her parents don't want her living under their roof. She was given a massive leg up, just like I was, and she screwed herself out of it. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Okay, I don't. By spared us from most of the chaos that followed, I assume that means you left the party? I wonder if she said some things that hurt other people too, hence the disinheritance. To be a fly on the wall of that room. And our next story. Never wear blue. My wife reminded me of this story recently. This happened many years ago when I wore a dark blue mechanic-style shirt on the daily for my tech job. Was on my lunch break and went to my local Wally World to pick up a new electronic gadget of some sort. Found a helpful fella in electronics, and together we walked to the case where they were kept under lock and key, and he began rifling through keys to open the case for me. Cue random loud woman approaching the two of us. Her, clearly to me in full sassy tone, "Hello, we on break or just standing there watching him work?" Me. Huh? Her. Does that really need two of you there? Looks like he's got it handled. If you're done watching him work, I need help finding some random list of stuff she wanted. Me. What? Actual employee. Ma'am, when I'm done serving this gentleman, I'll be happy to help you with that. Her. Oh no, I was talking to him, not you. Points at me as if proving a point. Actual employee. Yes, ma'am, that's the gentleman I'm helping. To me. I can ring you up for this right over there, sir. Back to her. I'll be with you in a moment, ma'am. Her. Oh, well, why do you have a blue shirt? Me. Yep, I sure do. Her silently turns away, glaring at me angrily like I had gravely offended her. Me, as I'm paying. Wow, that was interesting. Actual employee. Yeah, man, you got an undershirt under that blue button-up? Might want to take it off till you get back to your car. People aren't too observant around here. Me. It's not even a vest, though. Actual employee. Yep. Yet they'll hesitantly ask me if I work here, and I've been wearing the vest for years. We had a good chuckle. I was so shocked at her immediate rude attitude that I couldn't process a snarky comeback at the time. Seriously, why do people think it's okay to be nasty? Does that mean she thinks the police works there? And our next story. A capybara farmer's nightmare. I need to get this off my chest. I'm a capybara farmer, and recently, due to the viral trend around these amazing creatures, my peaceful capybara farm has turned into a hotspot for self-entitled content creators looking for their next big viral video. They've trespassed. They've stolen. They've subjected my capybaras to stressful, inappropriate behaviors. I'm deeply disturbed by their lack of respect and total disregard for the well-being of my animals, not to mention the breach of my privacy and property rights. But things escalated beyond belief. Just last week, one of these trespassers, a man looking for some adrenaline-filled footage, decided it'd be a great idea to wrestle a capybara. Not only is this incredibly distressing for the animal, it's also dangerous. And surprise, surprise, the man ended up seriously injuring and losing part of his genitals. This man, the one who trespassed and harassed my animals, is suing me. Apparently, he thinks I'm responsible for damage to his reproductive organs that occurred while he was illegally on my property and distressing my animals. A few days ago, I woke up to find my capybaras all huddled together in one corner of the farm, clearly terrified. Upon investigating, I found a person dressed in a homemade capybara costume trying to live amongst them for 24 hours, living as a capybara challenge. Not only had they trespassed onto my property in the dead of night, but they were also equipped with various props and toys they thought capybaras played with. A beach ball and a squeaky toy amongst other less tasteful things. They were actively trying to coerce my capybaras into engaging with these objects/toys for their video, causing immense stress to the animals. When I confronted them, their response was shocking. They argued that they were doing the capybaras a favor by making them famous. They truly saw nothing wrong with their actions. I had to call the authorities to have them removed from my property. The disrespect for private property, the welfare of animals, and basic human decency has been simply mind-boggling. I am just speechless at the nerve of people to think it's okay to just trespass and do whatever they want. Would they just go into a zoo and harass the animals and think it was okay? Like, what the actual... And our last story. Refused to sell a sliver of my property to the neighbors after they built on it. I bought my house/property in 2014. My neighbors have been living next door since 2012. Along with those neighbors, I also share a property line with another set of neighbors whose backyard meets with my backyard. We ended up having a disagreement with backyard neighbor over who was responsible for some trees close to the property line, so I had a property survey done because neither of us had one. So the survey was completed. Backyard neighbor still hates me 3 years later, but that's not where my inquiry stems from. The survey revealed that the other neighbors, with whom we share a side yard line, planted landscaping and built a fence about 6 feet into my yard. I suspected this was the case when they did it, but I didn't want to confront them because I didn't have a survey to prove anything. After the survey, I did inform them that their fence and landscaping were on my side. They weren't happy and insisted that my survey was wrong and that the multiple people who lived here before me always used the old hedgerow, that was long gone when I came, as the divider. I told them I don't know anything about that, but the results of my legal property survey are right here. They became confrontational and told me they were going to call their lawyer, and I hadn't even made any kind of request at that point. Fast forward about a month. They asked if they could buy the sliver of property that their fence was built on. Within this time, I found out that they had actually had their own property survey done a year after they moved in. This irritated me because they knew all along where the line was, legally, but they decided to build over it anyway based on what someone had apparently told them about some hedgerow. So I said I didn't want to sell any of the property, partially because of that and partially because the fence they built is only about 3 feet from my shed, which is too close based on zoning laws where I live. I was also upset that instead of making this request from the start, they threatened me with calling their lawyer. They're middle-aged people, and I bought my house when I was 21, so to me, it feels like they thought they could take advantage of a younger couple and do whatever they wanted. They did move the landscaping, but the fence still stands where it's been. I suggested drawing up an agreement that allows them to use the property for the fence, but if they ever move, I'd like the fence taken down to prevent problems with future owners. They didn't like that and told me in a fit that they'd just move the fence back onto their own property. Now they've been avoiding talking to me for about 3 years. But I guess it's whatever. I'm not a confrontational person. It does bother me because I know they've been talking to other neighbors and people in town and telling them my husband and I are a-holes for not just selling them the property and expecting them to move their fence, even though I've never actually said that. As a property owner, it's their responsibility to have a survey done before making any improvements that could intrude into another's property. They did that, but knowingly used your property anyway. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.